Hello everyone, happy Thursday. It is time for another Triple T Thursday. It's where we get to talk. I don't really do tips and tutorials anymore, so it's really just talk. So it is what it is, people. Hello out there, how are you? Good to see any of you that are out there. We have a lot to cover this week. I'm calling it This Week in Tech because we have to talk about the M1 MacBook Pro that just came out. We have to talk about the Sony A74 that was just released or talked about being released soon. We have to talk about the brand new Pixel phones and the heartbreak that ensued after that, right? And then we have to talk a little bit about, we have a brand new Ecamm Live version 3.9 that just got released, which is rad too. So we have a ton of things to talk about this week. If you guys are out there and, oh, how rude of me. Let's get started with what's in your cup, people. I haven't gotten that far either. All right, we're back to the unboxings, uncorkings. However, by the way, who are those like Bright Sellers and those other wine people out there? If you guys are ever watching, hit your girl up. Although all of it, comes from Gary V right now. This is the Chateau Haute Lalande Grand Vin 2018. Bly Côte de Bordeaux. Wine enthusiast, 90 points. There you go. Thank you, Gary V. Wine of the Month Club. We're going to open this up and say hello. What are you guys and gals drinking in your cups out there? Let me know as I finagle this. So the very first thing that we have to talk about is that the new Apple event. So I like how all of the tech giants of the world did not crowd everybody on the same day. They let everyone have their one day. It was shiny and new for one day, and then it became not new and old news as soon as the next day it came out, right? If you guys remember, we do this. We cut off the top, the medallion, so that we can do the squish with the cork. We're going to do this till everybody knows. So the very first thing that happened was the Apple event, and I should have been prepared and gotten ready the screen share so that we can go peruse the website, but maybe you'll forgive me and we'll just talk about it. But it would have been easier because, talking about all the specs and such. But one of the first things that was announced, right? They had some sort of new subscription music Siri type integration thing. Does that interest any of you? I don't know about that. I didn't really look into it a lot. It's like $5 a month. I don't know all about what it does. It didn't blow up my skirt, so I didn't really pay a lot of attention to it. So there's that. The next thing that was announced, right? We had a new pair of AirPods, right? If any of you out there have been using and loving AirPods 1, 2, or 3 version, and you have things that you want to say about it, let me know, because I've never had any of those. The only thing I've ever had are some of the Pixel buds. So I had some of the Pixel buds, but I've never actually had AirPods. Is that right? AirPods, right? That's right. I was thinking, is that right? I think it's right. So I've never used any of them, but you tell me if you have used them and you like it. Hello, Noel. Hello. Oh, geez, that's dry. Oh my goodness. There's a lot of tannins in that too. Oh my goodness. I should have gotten something sweeter. All right, so that's a Bordeaux. That's a big girl wine. I don't know if I'm ready for that actually. All right, so let's talk about this. We had the AirPods Pro. I've never participated in that, but also apparently a lot of people are going wild about the fact that that there's a magnetic little part of your MacBook Pro. I think it's for like when the lid is closed and everything like that. But some people are resting their AirPods there so they don't like fly off. I've seen a lot of that on TikTok. So if you've ever tried that, let me know if it works. Okay, let me know if that works. But I would be curious to try them. I guess I'll leave it at that. I would be curious to try them. Next, though, I think the piece de resistance when it came to all things Apple was the new reveal of the MacBook Pros, right? The new MacBook Pros came out and everyone was finally like, yes, they're finally here. These new M1 Macs with the MacBook Pro. And can we talk about how all of a sudden it's now, remember Courage when they took away the earphone jack, the headphone jack, and then all of a sudden they were like, it's fine, you don't need SD card slots, and you don't need all these other slots. You can be about that dongle life. Everything was dongle life, right? You don't need MagSafe anymore. No, you don't need that. And now all of a sudden, everything old is new again, right? Everything in tech is apparently cyclical, as is fashion, as is everything else, as is music. And the ports are back, y'all. Now, one thing that I've heard a lot of people talk about, I think Noel already alluded to it here in the chat as well, is that the MacBook Pros are not cheap. They're not cheap, right? They're starting at like $2,000 for the 14-inch, and the 16-inch starts at $24.99, right? And what do you get for that amount of money? Well, one, you don't get the touch bar. And I don't know how some of you feel about that, but a lot of people, I always thought it was pretty gimmicky. I've never thought that the touch bar was anything that exciting. But you can tell me if how you feel about that. And they have returned with those function keys across the top. So I'm all for that. Heck yes, I'm all for that. But when it came to the processor, right, now we're outside of the Intel family. We're going into the M1 family. And of course they had to do a very Apple thing, and they started naming their processors M1 Pro and Pro Max, all that, which is just a little ridiculous, right? Like, we get it. You guys have weird naming conventions on everything, right? Okay, I should make sure that we are live, right? Because sometimes, you know how I like to go on for like 30 minutes before anyone's actually here. But no, you guys are here, definitely here. And I'm definitely here with you, right? You're not crazy about AirPods or AirPod Pro. At least the Pros fit better and don't fall out. Yeah, that is one thing I definitely would worry about, because I've always had a hard time. I think, was it last week's stream where my headphones keep popping out because I don't have the over-ear wraparounds, because these headphones were in the car or still in my luggage from when I was traveling. I love these earphones so much more because not only it's the wraparound, but it's the kind that's like flat. So if you were to like lay down on a pillow, it wouldn't be like sticking out. What is that? Why is my hand like, oh, I think there's a funny little green screen effect going on. I know. Thank you, Noel, for telling me, yes, I am live. So I appreciate you looking out for me. I appreciate you. All right, where were we? We were talking about AirPods and AirPods Pro, right? And I just have never gone on board with them because I feel like I would need to have some sort of over-ear silicone-y thing to make sure that they don't pop out of my ear, because they will pop out, they'll fly all over the ground, something. I don't know. I don't know. Hey, Sammy Superstar, great to see you. And so I don't know if this is the year that I necessarily am going to be trying them, because to be honest, I barely leave my house. I think that the work trip that I had, like, that was the only reason I've really left very much in the last 2 years, probably, like, honestly. So I don't travel a lot, and maybe besides walking my dogs for a few minutes every day, around the neighborhood, I'm not out and about, I'm not commuting, so it's kind of one of those, like, I don't feel like I need it, but there's that. All right, but let's talk about the MacBook Pro, the return of the ports. The ports are back, right? So first of all of the MacBook Pro prices are pretty insane. And I think one thing they're very much trying to differentiate in this launch, like, this is professional grade level equipment. This is not just for like the amateurist hobbyist, because you could pick up an iPad, you could pick up, like the little Mac Air or something like that. This is for people who are probably making their living doing something with photo or video, right? This is not something that you're picking up for maybe Susie Q going to college as a freshman. Like, you'd probably get the MacBook Air or something else, right? This is for someone who's like video editing, needs something on the go. This is someone who is doing all sorts of photography business and like really putting this stuff to the test. Am I wrong with this? Tell me if I'm wrong. Because one of the things that people are always clamoring for is, right, like the SD card. And Apple before was like, you can live that dongle life. And people are like, no, we want the port. Give us back the port. And now we've got these Thunderbolt 3 displays, up to 4 different displays. And it's like, who's actually doing this except for someone who's like a professional, I feel like, right? I feel like it's a really big deal. So one, we have to establish who this is and who this isn't for. So I don't think it's just for the hobbyist. I think it's for someone who's looking to make money with this piece of equipment, and they're thinking of it as an investment in their business, mobile broadcasting, live streaming, on the road a lot of photo and video stuff. Because to be fair, you could get away with a lot of stuff on your phone or an iPad Pro or something else, but this is for the people who really seem to need it. You can tell me I'm wrong on that. It's okay. But here we go. One of the things they're talking about is, you know, it's a lot faster. It's able to do this 8K ProRes playback and editing. You have a lot more like GPUs that are processing all of this stuff. So, and supporting more external display. So, I mean, like, we're really looking at someone who's looking to do a lot, I feel like. And so one of the things though that did come back after they tossed away, you know, the touch bar, one of the things that came, which was interesting, I wonder how you guys feel about this. What do you feel about the notch across the top? Now, first of all, it has been long overdue for them to give you the 1080p internal webcam camera, right? And of course, most people who are probably using that and the internal microphone, they have lauded like, oh yeah, it's a lot better microphone. Okay, I don't see a lot of people being like, oh yeah, this is going to be my main way that I'm not throwing away my microphone. I feel like it's like, oops, you forgot to pack your microphone, you can get by, but I don't think it's anybody's main microphone. So I just don't see that happening. So I feel like the people who still want to hook up all their peripherals are going to, but they're also going to have an easier time because of, you know, honestly now higher powered ports and having more options. And I think it's pretty cool. Now, let's talk about this a little bit more with the return of the notch. One of the things that they did is when they changed that display, they now shoved up, you know, like the battery percentage and the different things like up on the sides so that it kind of is like out of the way. So effectively, it still feels like the same amount of real estate in that kind of like screen, and it's going to look better and brighter. So I feel like maybe it's not that big of a deal. And maybe something else is they've trained us so well when it comes to our Apple devices, right? Like my iPhone already has a notch. I would have to look, does my iPad have a notch? It's sitting over there. I'm pretty sure it probably has a notch, you know, like you just don't even think about it anymore. And it's just like, it's just there. And one of the things, even though they get made fun of for it, it's something that is so uniquely Apple, you know, like, oh, that's an Apple device, right? So I feel like, I don't know if it's that big of a deal because I feel like by the time where the menus and everything sit and what you're going to see on screen, it's not going to be that big of a deal. Like, it's not going to feel that intrusive. And especially from any of the demo stuff that I saw when it is in dark mode, I feel like it pretty seamlessly disappears into the background and periphery, right? Like, am I alone on this? Because I feel like if you're in dark mode, which you should be for the win because dark mode everything, then I feel like you're really not going to notice it. Like, just at all. Like, just not at all. So I have always wanted a 14-inch model of the MacBook Pro because I've had the 15-inch, but it's like the 2016 version, right? Back before they started to do away with all the ports. And then work was nice enough to get me kind of an updated laptop. So I ended up giving the other laptop, you know, like selling it and stuff like that. So I had a work laptop, so I have it, and it has the touch bar and everything. And now these new MacBooks, you know, have come out, and I was like, ooh, do I want one as a personal device, even when I already have a notebook? I will tell you one thing, just as an aside, because it wouldn't be a stream if there wasn't several asides. Was anyone else hoping for a new 27-inch iMac? You know, I don't want the 24-inch with the M1 processor and the bright colors. That I don't mind the colors. I want the 27-inch with a higher level. I want basically the M1 Pro Max processor in that one. I don't mind. I would have the color, but I want the 27-inch. I was really hoping they were going to give us a 27-inch iMac. I really was holding out hope because honestly, I would pick one of those up because I've been running everything off of a 27-inch iMac for, I don't know, I've had this one for about 4 years. And so it's time for an upgrade. And I think this is still even like an i7. And so like there have been many rounds of updates since then, but I was really hoping that we were going to get a 27-inch. Now, if I were to get one of these notebooks, it would be the 14-inch because what I meant to say before is I had this 15-inch, I've traveled with it, it's heavy. Do I really want to go down the road then of having a 16-inch? Not really. And when I'm home, I can certainly hook up to external monitors. It's not that big of a deal. And honestly, I'd rather have the size and portability and save $500, I think it is, by going with the 14-inch. All the battery life is going to be a lot better than they used to be. They're going to be a lot quieter because I don't know about you, but anytime I ran some programs, Final Cut Pro, exporting, OBS and live streaming, or sometimes Ecamm live streaming if you have multiple inputs, stuff like that coming off of dongles, you know when it sounds like you're in an airplane and it feels like it's like the fan is going and you hear all of that noise, right? I felt like it was never great for that because the microphones would pick it up, and so I was like, I need something that's going to run a bit cooler. It seems these 14 and 16-inch ones with the fan and all of that displacement is going to run a lot cooler. And then I also wanted to make sure that they had more RAM, because I think before on some of the little iMac mini things, they were topping out at 8 gigs, and then the other ones were like 16 barely. So I was like, I could wait for the next generation. And wow, did they deliver with the new M1 Pros and M1 Pro Maxes. I feel like it's kind of like game changer. I kind of thought that they would give us the, the follow, always, whatever they call it, with the internal webcam. I don't know if I missed that, but I always thought they were going to give us that inside, but I don't think they gave us that. So, all right. So that was more on the MacBook Pro side, right? So I think that was probably the most exciting part of the launch. The thing that I would buy, if any, it would be the 14-inch, but I'm not going to buy it, and I'm waiting until they have a new 27-inch iMac, and then I will buy that, okay? So let me know your thoughts down below on the new Apple products that were just talked about and released, and then we're going to move over to the Pixel. Okay, so first of all, I am not one of those big tech reviewers that got a beautiful package with, all the phones in it. I wish I was. That would have been cool. I don't like how they did only certain colors. Again, it's a very Apple thing to do, right? Only certain colors in certain styles. So, oh, hey, Cooking Cop and Babe. Great to see you. So one of the things that I was super excited about, I know Scott Peachy was super excited about, was the new kind of coral color in the Pixel 6. It's not available in the Pixel 6 Pro, only the Pixel 6, but I have to say that it was beautiful. And so the colored equivalent that is closest is going to be the Sorta Sunny, which is kind of a yellow, which is at some angles you're like, is this attractive? Maybe, I think it could be. It's kind of got a tint of orangey in that yellow. But I was saying, personally for myself, I really wish they would have carried over the coral color into the Pixel Pro. Now, the Pixel phones have been absolutely, hands down, one of my favorites. I said before, and I'll say it again, that I prefer the Pixel 5 over my Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra, whatever it is. And I cannot believe that that phone is like a third of the price, and I don't feel like it's a sacrifice at all. It integrates so seamlessly with all of the Google products, gives you Google storage, right? So I got a little excited about a new Pixel phone. I've had the Pixel 1, I've had the Pixel 4, I've had the Pixel 5. I saw the Pixel 6 and I was like, oh, this is going to be good. This is going to be really good, right? And so I did as all of us tech people sometimes who get excited, we're looking at the event online, and then we start to ooh and ah over all the specs, and then I tried to order something, right? Like I was like, okay, I've seen some really cool things, like take my money. I couldn't get them to take my money, y'all. The site was down. Now, to Google's credit, they were doing some phenomenal deals where if you bought a Pixel phone, you also got a pair of Pixel Buds, which are still worth $100 for free, included. Now, some people thought that was exclusive to the store.google.com site, but you actually were able to get the same deal on B&H Photo, on Best Buy, on a couple of other sites where if you bought the phone, it was saying like $99 accessory included, and it was including the Pixel Buds. I don't know if you still got to choose your color though. So one of the reasons why you also buy sometimes through like the Google store is that if you have Google One, which I had because I had paid like the $99 for extra terabytes of storage in the cloud because I've been like sending everything up there, so it's full res and it's just a place to keep it all. And when you have Google One and you also then get like free VPN service like on any of your little Google phones, and I was like, oh, sweet. So I have that on my Pixel phone set up if I wanted. But you also get like 10% back on purchases made in the Google Store. So if I actually purchased a phone through Google Store, then you actually got 10% back on it as well. Plus you got the $100 headphones for free. Now, I was like, do I go with the kind of coral? Do I go with the yellow Pixel Pro equivalent? Every time I went to the site and I would go click on the It's Sort of Sunny color, it only had 128 gigs available. I don't know if they just never had other sizes, but I was just like, 128 is just not large enough, especially once you start recording videos in HD in those sizes. Like, it's just, right? I think there have been some of those ProRes videos that are already starting to come out where it says like a few minutes is like several gigs worth. Like, it's just going to go so quickly. And this is on the iPhones, of course, that people are making these comparisons on. But I was thinking about this and I was just like, oh my gosh, like 128 after you get through all the stuff they, install on the system and your apps that you install, like it's just really not a lot. And if there's no external SD card, like you really got to get a 256 or higher. That's just my personal opinion. Don't come for me. If you're someone who was like 128 is totally good for me, that's cool. You do you. But I'm saying with as much video content and photos and everything that I do, I feel like I would not be able to properly manage my photo/video library storage enough to be able to fully not worry about things on a 128 gigabytes. All right. Hopefully that's not offensive to people out there who are like, I like the small size. Great for you. Okay. So they had all of these and I was like, well, then you start to play the game. You're like, should I just order the phone that I don't really want just so that I can have it to review it? Now we're going to talk about a couple things as well. Should I get the Coral phone in the not Pro because, I like the color better, but it doesn't have all the features I want? This is a very iPhone type of come on. And I will say kudos to Google for the pricing that they have, because some of these phones I think are pretty phenomenal. I'm saying what looks like on paper for the price that you're paying. Now, once I finally got through, I was like, maybe I'll just put it in my cart. I couldn't pay. Like, the store actually just crashed. You could not check out. I think I made a TikTok about it where it just kept saying, and you kept seeing it all over Twitter. It was like, you can't check out. And they would be like, all their responses on Twitter were like, yeah, we're sorry, the store is down. And we're working on getting it back up. I'm like, but it went on for like 6 hours. And I'm like, when I pre-ordered my iPhone 13 Pro, and you guys remind me what time that pre-order was. It was like 5:30 in the morning Pacific time, right? It was like early. Or it felt early to me. And I can say I was on at 5:29, as you do. Like, maybe they'll let me in early. I was on exactly when I was supposed to be, and I was done 4 minutes later. Like, it could not have been any easier. They shipped it to my house on the day that it was supposed to arrive. It was later in the afternoon. Everyone else got theirs in the morning, but that's not the point. The point is that process was seamless. And I have to say that the process for Google, how do you all have you host so much of everything? You guys, how do you mess that up for, I don't know if they just were unprepared for the amount of traffic. Well, obviously that is the case. But I don't think I've ever seen such a jumbled, people are literally saying, please take my money. And they're like, sorry, it's not you, it's us. We just have to clean up some stuff back here. It's kind of unacceptable, I think. But that notwithstanding, all of that aside, there's a couple of other things that we should talk about as well. If you know about dual embargoes, a few people have been pretty vocal and outspoken about some of this stuff, okay? So Mr. Who's the Boss, MKBHD, a couple of other people, they had made a video on YouTube talking about some of the pitfalls of being a tech YouTuber, and one of them being dual embargo. So if you don't know what that means, a lot of the time the brands will work with certain influencers, creators, and they'll send them a product early, but they'll have not just a date and time, which makes sense. Hey, don't post this video until X date, because that's when we're going to publicly announce it or whatever else. We don't want it to leak. That makes sense. A double embargo or a dual embargo is when not only do they go that far and say this is when you're allowed to make this video and release it to the public, but they have a second clause which says you can talk about a certain amount of things, but you can't talk about other things until a later date. So you started to see them talk about, like, that's why you saw a lot of unboxings all happen at the same time. But then in the comments when people are like, what about the pictures? How's it? And they're like, video's coming. And that's because they weren't allowed to actually use the phone. They were able to hold the phone. They were able to unbox the phone. They were able to turn the phone on and show the home screen. But you could not talk about anything else. You couldn't show like apps launching. You couldn't show you using the phone really. It was just that. And so by effectively enforcing this dual embargo, a lot of these companies will basically ensure that they're getting 2 videos out of top creators or people with influence, right? Because they're like, you get the unboxing and the oh my gosh and the excitement, and then like maybe several weeks later, then you have a review. But there's a few problems with this. First of all, a lot of the time, that dual embargo of like an unboxing, it's not answering the question of what people want to know before they're actually going to buy it. How does camera, does it overheat? What's the size in comparison to, well, maybe that one. But, there are some of these general basic boilerplate questions that people can't answer until they order the phone for themselves, at which point they've already handed over money, right? And gotten it in their hands and experienced it, which is difficult because then do these creators want to create 2 different videos about it? So I think Mr. Who's the Boss kind of said on Twitter, he's like, I'm not even doing an unboxing. I just will wait and do my video post at the second one. And I've been seeing a lot of people talk right now about not the legality, but the ethics behind a dual embargo. Like, why is this happening? Why are, it's obvious why brands are doing it, because what if there's some feature that's coming out and being released, but hasn't actually gone out in a software update? You can say, hey, this phone just came out, but like you can't talk about this feature that's upcoming until we push the release, which is, let's say, 3 weeks later. So a lot of people are kind of upset about the fact that like you're tying our hands. So it's like, do we make a video about unboxing it so that we can get some views, right? Or do we wait until we can do a full detailed review and then have people complain that it's like too late? Because a lot of the time when it comes to YouTube, recency is the relevancy currency, right? So you want to know, like, I've had this phone for 3 weeks and here's how it reacts. Or like, I want to be the first person to unbox it. And we also just say the people that are leaking their unboxings and stuff early, like, way to burn your bridge with brands, man. Like, you think that viral video that might have gotten you a few extra hits or something, like, you think all those brands are going to see that and be like, well, we're never sending that guy the phone early again. And what's funny is, oh, take off. See you later, Noel. Good to see you. Great to see you. Thank you. It's like, a lot of these people too, when you think about it, the influencers, they're all wealthy enough to be able to afford these items, right? So it's not as big a deal. It's great for them because they get early access and review units and stuff like that, right? Which is great. But for some of these smaller creators, they don't have an extra $899 laying around to get the Pixel Pro and, $600 to get the Pixel phone. So they need to stay on the good side of these brands and do whatever these dual embargoes and stuff actually are trying to enforce. Now, good for Mr. Who's the Boss, which, with however many millions of subscribers he has, to be like, no, I'm not going to play by that rule. You're not getting 2 videos out of me. You're getting 1 and it's coming way later, right? And even in the unboxing video that MKBHD did recently, you can see he's a little bit annoyed with the whole fact. He's like, I can't really show you. I can't really turn it on. And you say, I'm not interested in the unboxing. I have done several unboxings. I'm sorry, because I was excited. I thought you might want to share that excitement with me. But the problem is, right, unless the big creators sometimes step up and be like, no, we're not going to do this, right? They're the only ones with probably enough influence to possibly change or sway the brand's way of doing things. Because imagine if you're MKBHD and Mr. Who's the Boss and all that stuff and Samsung and all these, they can't get another video out of you because you're like, nope, not doing it. Not doing it at all. And I think, you know, they're going to start weighing what is the cost of not being able to have an extra few million views of eyeballs and stuff on our product and building up this hype. And then, you know, like, oh, if we try and hold all of these creators to these double embargoes, we're not going to get these extra videos, but, you know, all that stuff. And I feel like they have to, like, people would have to collectively agree that, hey, they're not going to do that, because they don't care if the person who just joined, let's just say Team Pixel, who has, you know, 5,000, who's so excited to finally get this phone and unbox it, they're more than happy to abide by all those rules, and they need all those views, and they need, you know, that newness factor. But I feel like some of the big guys, they're the ones who would actually be able to change things. So I was proud of, I don't know, I don't watch a ton of his videos. I watch some and I think they're very good, but I was proud of him being like, I don't like this and I don't want to actually abide by it. So there's that. Tell me what you guys think of that. I already heard from Pixel saying that my teeth are all purple. Oh, you're right. Oh, the green screen. Oh yeah, there's something all funky. You're right. Thanks for telling me. Now that I'm 32 minutes in. Okay, how do I fix it? Let's fix it on the fly. Let's fix it on the fly. How do I fix it? Man, thanks for telling me though. Appreciate you. Let me turn this off real quick. If I turn off green screen, then I think you guys will actually see my green screen, right? So let me just test that. Yep. Okay, so let me change the luminance thing on it. I see. There. Better? Ha ha ha. There, I think that's better. Thank you for telling me, Pixel. Oh, it's always something, right? It's always something. All right, hopefully that is better. You guys didn't need to see that much of my mouth. Yeah, it's good. So that was something. And so obviously Google is one of these companies that has participated now in this dual embargo. And it's really the first time that I've started to see some of the creators speak up about their dissatisfaction with it, I guess is what I would say. So I think the first crack of it was when MKBHD and Mr. Who's the Boss made the video talking about specifically that, because then you also see from the commenting and the audience side, like, why is it always the same videos? Why aren't you being more thorough? Why aren't you giving a normal review? And they're like, I want to, but I can't because we're tied by these things. So here's the thing, is like, if you are some of those big creators, it's not that they can't afford it, but it's like those relationships with those brands might mean, you know, some opportunity or something. So I don't know. I think it's hard for some people to be able to play that game and be able to weigh and balance that, because, you know, when it comes to anything, especially reviews, you either have to be like first, or you have to be the best, or you have to be different in some way, right? And it's really, really difficult if you're the small guy to have access. So if you can do anything that gives you access to be first, great. You know, because for some people, when they get early access to products, whether it's beauty, technology related, whatever else it is, when people start finally looking for that product and it picks up in search and then they find that person's video, it can help catapult or grow channels. So the desire is real when you're maybe a little bit smaller and finally getting early access to something, and then, you know, staying on good terms or something with brands seems important to you when you're smaller, because you haven't yet realized sometimes that brands don't have feelings. It's, again, we talked about this before. People who work at brands have feelings, and those feelings fluctuate as they go from company to company. So yeah, Tony Danza is Who's the Boss. But the tech reviewer, Mr. Who's the Boss, that's what I was referring to. All right, so, oh, have a great one, Dave. Thanks for being here. All right, so now we've talked about two of the different things. We didn't really talk about the phone, though. We should talk about the phone. So if you're also wondering what are some of the differences between the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 6 Pro, it's an additional camera and additional video coolness and options. Yeah. I don't know what else. I'm the worst tech reviewer I can, right? Like seriously, I'm really there. Let's do a comparison. I think that the Pixel 6 Pro also has like higher storage options. You can go up to like a terabyte or something like that. So let me just confirm that before I tell you incorrectly, because I would hate for that to be my life. You actually finally do listen to me or something. And then, all right. So the Pixel Pro is 6.7 inches from corner to corner. So that's one reason I would not actually like it, because again, you guys remember my rant about the iPhone. I feel like once you're in the Pro series, you should be able to have the sizes and just have that be the only difference. But no, they did the Apple last year 12 Pro Max type thing, where they put certain things only in the largest size phone. So the Pixel 6 is going to be in 3 different colors, and it has that coral, that kind of seafoamy, and like a black. And then it's 6.2 inches from corner to corner. And then the 6.7 inch is also available in sort of sunny, and it's available in this cloudy white and then a black color. So no, I couldn't get one ordered. The store was down, and the end of that story was I wasn't going to settle for a phone that wasn't at least in the size of 256 or higher. And because they didn't have it, and then because they didn't have it in any other color either, I could just join a wait list. I'm like, well, I'll just literally wait it out myself. I don't need to be on your wait list to wait. So that's the end of the story. I was trying to get a phone, but yeah, that's the story with that. So one thing as well, they have a bigger battery in the Pixel 6 Pro. They have longer battery life, and it had more RAM in it. So instead of 8 gigabytes RAM, it had 12, which for most people, you're probably not going to notice that big of a difference. Also on the 6.7 on the Pro, it had the one adaptive, I think it's like 120 hertz screen, right? And on the 6, the regular 6, it was up to 90, I believe. So 1, 2, testing. Joseph is in the house. Joseph is in the house testing his microphone, y'all. So there's all that. Both of these are touting the new Google Tensor. So I feel like Intel is really just having a hard time keeping anybody on their docket, because, you know, Apple has come out and made their own silicon, and, you know, their M1 processors, and Google went out and made Tensor. So once they have all of these and they don't need Intel for any of these chips, Intel, yeah, that's tough. That's tough for them. So again, the Pixel 6 Pro has an additional lens. So those are kind of the items there with that. Long story long, I wanted a phone, couldn't get one. There's all of that. Now, the next thing that we have to talk about, Ecamm Live. Now, I know some of you were like, why are we talking? Because it just released this week. It was version 3.9, and I feel like we need to talk about it. And, you know, it's my show, and I can do what I want. So we're going to talk about it, okay? I had a screen. Ecamm 3.9. A couple of cool things that were coming in. Let me just tell you, I thought I had a little image of it. Let me see. I don't. Way to go. Wait, maybe I do. Here we go, 3.9. Switching between and exporting profiles. Screen share of overlays. Oh yeah, I think it was saying like instead of now you can share like in a certain amount of scenes. Yeah. 14 new options for interview link domain names. Okay, one of the biggest things, have you guys heard of squircles? They're kind of squared off circles. So they have these different types of overlays that before you would have to go in, and I know some of you don't care about this, but I care about this, so we're going to talk about it. You would go in and you would create like cute cutouts and frames and such, and a lot of people do in Photoshop or Keynote or whatever else. And now they have some of these things like starting to be built in, but they have these overlays so you can have this camera as one, and instead of an edge where it's kind of an exact square, or they had like a 16 by 9, a 9 by 16, and a square, and then like a 4 by 3, right? But now they have these like circles, and they've got squircles, which are kind of like squared off circles, which are really, really cool, and these rounded edges. So it makes it look really neat, where it's like floating on top of like these backgrounds and screens. I was really, really excited about this. I want to play with that, especially in interview mode. So I thought that was really, really cool. They have, yeah, squircles. Let's see here. Colored borders. They had some extra stuff with text. I've never actually played a lot with text, so I'm actually excited for that. Overlay groups can be linked to multiple overlays at once. This is awesome. And then they have these layering capabilities, so you can send, you would have to usually go in before and go to your scenes and all of your overlays and kind of like rank them in the order you want them to show up on screen, and now it's kind of different. So I kind of love that. There's a lot of really cool things that are happening. I don't use and utilize all of the things inside of, but I was very excited to see them. Very, very excited. Okay. And it added Twitch. I don't think it originally before had Twitch as an endpoint. So that was all exciting stuff. I'm sure there's more, and I'm sure there are plenty of videos out there to talk about the new updates, but I did want to talk about that. The last thing that I want to talk about is the new Sony A74 camera. This has been rumored for, I don't even know how many years. It's been rumored for a very long time. And I think you guys know that my dream camera right now is the A7S III. So I had someone ask me if I was willing to like kick that off the list and be like, A74 forever. And I was like, no, I don't think I am. I still think that I'm still team A7S III one day when I can afford it, even though it's an older camera, a couple of years older now. I think that will be the camera for me one of these days. A74 is out. It is doing some stuff like this downsampled 8K into 4K, but only at up to 30 frames per second. I think you can do like 120 frames at only 1080. So there's some of that kind of cool stuff. Anyways, I don't know if people are out there though that have been very enamored and waiting for the Sony A74. What did you guys think of the announcement of the features? What did you think of that? Because I know a lot of people have been anticipating this for a very, very long time. And I want to know if it was something that met your expectations. Also, I'm kind of hoping that people, as they start to upgrade their gear, because people want to buy the newest, shiniest thing and they want to get this camera, that maybe my camera will go on sale. I mean, right? One can hope. One can hope. So, let me see. A74, not the A74A. I want the A74. So, it's a 33 megapixel, 4K, 60 frames, 10-bit Cinetone, 4.22, all that stuff. And it has crazy ISO on it. But A7S III, yes, A7S III is my jam, man. And can we just for a second talk about why Sony Grandmaster and full frame lenses are so expensive? I put it out on Twitter. I was like, thank you, universe. I'm thanking you in advance for bringing one of these lenses to me. Any one of those lenses is like $1,500. And I'm like, as long as the universe brings me one of those lenses, I'm gonna be okay. But like, there was like do you know how much money? That's so much money. Some of these lenses are like $2,300, and I'm like, why? Why? That's like a refrigerator the last 10 years. And I know when Sagi was on, he was like, yeah, but you buy the lens once and like, or, you know, buy the value lens at 800. And I'm like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Like, oh man. Okay. If you guys are out there and you guys have some of these lenses, I know like Roberto Blake, you know, has a huge bookcase behind him of like all these lenses. And I'm like, yep, one of these days, man, one of these days. And I am newer to the Sony family, so it's still new to me, but man, it's breaking my heart with all of this. And I'm just like, oof, oh man, but I wants it. Very Gollum right there. I wants it. My own, my precious. And then the last thing I was going to share with y'all, I put a quick video of this on TikTok, Instagram Reel, I think maybe even a YouTube short. I don't think I did the, no, I think I did. I put it on Twitter too. There's a program out there called Recut, and I had just discovered it like literally today. I downloaded a trial of it. I was really, really impressed with it. Or it was yesterday, whatever. And it took your video file that you give it, and it cuts out all of these long pauses and dead spaces, and then you can export like the XML file that you can put onto your video editing program. So if you give it the same file, it does all the same cuts. It's like it just knows, like, because it's magic. They communicate with each other, and they said, hey, we've automatically made like 239 cuts for you, so you want me to apply these on this video that you've imported into Final Cut Pro? And I was like, yes, please. Seconds it took. Whereas before, you'd be sitting there, you know, with your blade tool trying to make all of these cuts and trimming your clips. And I did actually configure my Stream Deck to use some very common commands, especially ones that are super complicated and like 3 button clicks, like blade all. If you have multiple layers on top of each other, lifesaver. And I thought I was like pretty smart already. I was like, I'm on this. But like once I saw that, I was just like, dude, that just saved me like an hour or more, probably more than an hour. And it did it in like seconds. And then when it was like export this file, like I hit the button and it was like export complete. It was so fast, like literally so fast. And I was just like, I've never seen anything like this. And I know probably some of you out there have, but I have not. It was new to me. So I was just like, I gotta share this. So I even did a quick, after I'd already done it, I reenacted it and then made a quick like reel about it. And what's also interesting about that is even in their trial, you get 5 different exports and then you buy it. Looks like it's Mac only right now, but then it says on their website that, you know, coming soon for Windows. And then it said maybe coming soon for maybe additional features. So yeah, there's all of that. But I'd never seen that before. I thought that was pretty cool. I am interested in trying some of these services like Descript and Otter.io and Jarvis and all of these different kind of automated things where it could really speed up the flow of stuff. I just think that would be really, really cool. Hello, Dr. Elo's in the house. Great to see you. How are you doing? Great to see you. So those are all of the tech updates that I wanted to chat with y'all about. I'm going to give y'all a minute to say hello and talk anything that you guys want to chat about. Put it in the chat. And you have a 200 to 600. Oh, all right. Let's do that. Let's talk about for a minute whatever you guys want to talk about while I drink. All right? While I drink. 1 second. I don't think I would recommend this. So wine enthusiast, it may be great for you with your 90 points, but like this was dry. It's dry. You've tried Descript, it's very good. I know, right? I think because I was a speaker at Leap Into Live, I think I have an option to, of course that was like 2 months ago too, and I really need to cash in on the thing. But I have an option to get like 2 months as a trial or something like that. So I need to sign up for it. I saw a demo. It looks really fantastic. And I think that's one, you can train it with your own voice. It gives you like a script and you're supposed to talk it out yourself. So I think if I wrote something out, it would say it in my voice, which seems weird, like practical magic, I believe. So there's that. Pixelpia, how are you? How's your sister? How's the podcast? How's that all going? Tech for your needs. You're new and you bought the ZV-1 to taste it, and that is your camera ecosystem. Yeah. So the ZV-1 is a really great like little point and shoot camera, right? It's pretty good. I did use that when I traveled to People of Video, and I did some little testimonial / interview type stuff, and it worked out pretty well. And I was impressed by that. So it was real small and compact, and it was good. I do think though that if I was then gonna have something small like that, I might go with the like A6400 or the ZV-10, because I like the fact of being able to change lenses on the fly. But that portableness of the ZV-1 was really, really nice. And one thing I had packed a battery rechargeable thing with like multiple batteries, so I could just kind of swap them out, because the battery life isn't fantastic. So if you are going to be out shooting all day, it's definitely something you want to be cognizant of and actually have more batteries with you. So yeah, you go in and you edit and it replaces it with your voice. Yeah, it's pretty sweet how it does that. That's really cool. That's really, really cool. Okay. Anything else that you guys want to chat about? New Jersey podcast is doing better than I had hoped. Oh, I had just gotten an email from Anchor, saying that they were going to start accepting video podcasts and like asking people to fill out a questionnaire of interest, because it was like that, and something with Spotify where if you filled it out and you got selected or something, you could upload your video files and it would separate the audio portion for people who wanted to listen to it and then offer the video option as well. I was like, that sounds kind of interesting. I don't know. So I at least filled out the survey. I haven't really been doing anything with my podcast, but I really should. And for the people out there, I was thinking about how the failed attempt at getting the Pixel 6 is really a sign that I should instead get the Rodecaster Pro and have it for all the fun sound effects, and so I can hook up multiple microphones, but so that I can like really relaunch my podcast. And side note, Shelly Squirrel Brains, side note, I am thinking of trying to do either Podmas or Vlogmas or something of the sort, where when I did Vlogtober, right, which is actually funny because this was what, a year ago now? Was it just 1 year ago? I can't even keep track of time anymore, y'all. A year ago, I did Vlogtober, where I at least did a 5-minute recap of my day every day for all of the days of October. This was also in the midst of, virtual conferences we were preparing for. I was launching my course, which actually I think the anniversary just passed. The 1-year anniversary of me launching iMovie Made Easy has come and gone now. And it was nice to be able to go back and watch those 5-minute recaps and just have like something to remember all of the craziness, because now I look back at it, I'm like, I can't even remember everything that happened, but I know I can go watch those videos. So I kind of like that when you are documenting your life. So I was like, maybe a 5-minute recap type of thing every day. But then I was thinking, if I really wanted to challenge myself, which I don't think I do, so I think it would just be the 5-minute recaps, and that was the commitment, was at least 5 minutes, 5 minute of live streaming. And I'm like, hey, if I already have everything set up, the lights, blah, 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 I can just at least go live for 5 minutes a day and call it good. I don't even remember when it was. 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I did Podmas just as a challenge, where I was doing a podcast every day. So take that 5-minute recap or whatever else it is. Talk about anything for 5 minutes, and then I would put that up as a podcast for that day, because I was also trying to build my library of podcast episodes. So I'm trying to decide, maybe both, because if I do a 5-minute recap of my day, strip out the audio, and then put that up as a podcast, maybe so be it. Am I talking myself into this? If I do it as a no pressure type of thing, although I don't know anyone who's going to want to listen to my podcast as a 5-minute recap of my day. It's like, here's your audio journal of your day of this person that you don't really care about or know very much. You want to listen? Subscribe to my podcast. So like, as I'm thinking about this now, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, but I feel like it could be something to do, something to try, and something to maybe validate why I would use a Rodecaster Pro. All of that to say, I was thinking about getting the Rodecaster Pro instead of the Pixel phone, because I have been thinking about, trying to do more tech reviews and phone reviews and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, I need to have this phone. Now, one thing I want to address really quickly too is what not getting the Pixel phone taught me. Okay. One, I already knew this, but I'm not a very good tech reviewer. So this feeling that I needed to get on, order it, get it as quickly as possible, and start making probably a ton of mediocre content, because I'm not a very good tech reviewer, about said phone. What was the point? I wasn't going to make enough videos and views to pay for the phone, and I don't think it was going to be my daily driver and replace my phone. So do I need to share and put that out into the world, just a bunch of kind of okay tech reviews? Probably not. So, and then I was thinking to myself, why? Why do I feel that need to have to go out and get the newest, shiniest thing, right? Obviously, you guys saw me fumble through even trying to list what the specs are. Like, I don't need to do that. I don't need to do that. So I was almost thinking about how it was better for me that I ended up not being able to part with my money, because it was like this reality check. And I'm like, what are you going to do with that phone? It's just going to sit on your desk like this one. And you have this phone and you don't even make videos on it. Even though you sit here every week and you say what you don't like about the phone, you've never made a dedicated video about why you don't even like this phone and put it out. Like, what are you doing? So I'm kind of like, maybe I just need to take the L or whatever, and call it a win, convert it to a win, and actually just be like, hey, you know what you need to do? You need to buy yourself a Rodecaster and maybe make your podcast or do the other. But the problem is I have shiny object syndrome, which there is an episode about on my podcast about. The squirrel brain that I am just has lots of ideas to talk about, which is not good cohesively when you're looking for some sort of nuanced something. Because I will talk about phones one day, and then the next day I'm going to talk about wine, and then the next day I'm going to talk about my Stream Deck, and then the next day I'm going to talk about something else just completely. And then I'm going to make a whole bunch of shorts with my dog. And so I, for, many, many years have always been like, I don't know what I'm doing with my channel. Should I rebrand as a video editing, as a YouTube advice, as a phone and camera? It's always do as I say, not as I do, because I've lived every single mistake that you can think of as a YouTube channel, to the point where even outsiders have been like, I don't know what you're doing or what you could even do to fix it. So I've kind of come to this realization that maybe I don't need all these, maybe I just put whatever the frick I want to, and I don't care about how fast I grow, because I know about myself and my brain that I just have a hard time focusing on any one thing. If y'all can understand me on that one, can I get a heck yes or a thumbs up in the comment section? Because my squirrel brain self is feeling sad about never being able to actually figure out continuity when it comes to content, which is what everyone will always tell you that you need. So for 5 years I've been doing everything you can't do correctly. Just defiantly doing not just whatever I want, but like lots of things that haven't worked for me, and then bemoaning why things haven't worked for me. So there's all that. But I think so much, I think it's okay sometimes to show that you're not well-rounded, just show the many facets of yourself, right? And yeah, that's why we start so many channels, because we've been told by everyone, you have to put it all on one channel, or you can't put it all on one channel when it's all different topics or something. And I'm like, you know what? I can do whatever I want to now. I do whatever I want. You're not my boss. Okay, so I think we talked about everything that I want to talk about. I thank you for joining me, for being in the ramblings of my brain. Let me know your thoughts about all of the cool tech releases that were talked about this week, and I will see you guys next Thursday. And let me know what you think about the shorts. I put out a few, with my dog, and just a few that are just completely random kind of stuff, and I think sometimes I'm hitting the button to not notify people, subscribers of shorts, because I don't want to annoy you with those. But I've been just kind of having fun putting stuff out there that I want to. Let me know what you think. I will see you guys all next week. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great one, guys.